You'd think I would know this by now after having written, I don't know, dozens of plays. But writing the play is one thing. Describing the play, selling the play, marketing the play is something totally else. And thankfully, on this production of my new play, Puritans, that's being done at the Greeley Garage Sale Theater in Greeley, Colorado, my director, Daniel Mothershed, has helped me chart this, navigate this path of how to describe the play that I think is cool for these reasons, but I'm not sure why audiences will think it's cool. Daniel, how do you think we should describe the play?
I think we should describe the play as a well, we've been saying what, a ghost story without ghosts and time travel without time travel that is also about shared family historical drama.
See, that's pretty good. I love that description. So I should try to explain what the play is. Puritans is very loosely based on my own family tree, my own ancestry, depicting 12 generations in a single family dating back from the 1600s to the present day. 6 actors play 19 characters over 12 generations across 400 years. And it's not like A.R. Gurney's Dining Room or Tom Stoppard's The Arcadia, where there's a scene in the past, and there's a scene in the present, then the past, present, past, present. All of the time periods overlap in Puritans. Actors are coming and going. I've been describing it in my shorthand as The Crucible meets Noises Off, which is another concern I have. Do these descriptions promise something that Puritans doesn't deliver? And that's the other challenge that you and I have had in marketing your production.
Yeah, well, and I think I wish I had it in front of me. If I was more prepared, I would. But I think the tagline that you rediscovered, I actually think, in terms of marketing, that is going to be our easiest sell. A serious comedy about the Puritans and zealots and worst of all, actors. I think that actually goes really far. I worried about the noises off thing too, because that on first read, I feel promises much more people running around and franticness and lots of doors slamming and opening. And my first just sitting down and reading the script in my living room, I was like, oh, I don't know if that works. But then when we got to the table read at the end of May, even reading that last scene of the first act, which for my money is the farciest in the play, even though it's not people running around in their underwear, people falling down, shoving cactuses at each other, whatever, the fast-pacedness with which all of the time periods are coming in and out of the room, and all of the doors are opening, and all of the people are passing each other without interacting with each other. I went, oh, this is a farce. I think it's just not to get pretentious, it's not a Feydeau farce that's about cheating couples hiding their affairs, but it is still doors, Applejack, books, all the confusion that you want with a farce. So I don't actually know that that's wrong.
Well, yeah, and I mean the other comparison we were making is The Crucible meets Arcadia, or Arcadia times 6, because Arcadia takes place in 2 time periods and this takes place in 12 time periods. But Arcadia isn't as well known to the general public. And as you say, there are ghost stories. It's like a ghost story where all the characters on the stage are existing at the same time, occupying the same house at the same time, but none of them are dead, except some, because they're all alive in their own time periods, and they don't sense each other, except 1 or 2 characters, not to get too spoilery.
Maybe.
Sense it. Maybe. And it also is, you're right, time travel-y. Because, we get to see all these other time periods.
In a way that I was describing it to an actor, a director friend of mine a couple of months ago, and she had said, oh, I love from what you've described to me the way that the play tesseracts through time, which I think is also a really great way. And of course, my pop culture brain is like, oh yeah, immediately thought of Marvel and Loki and everything else. She was referencing A Wrinkle in Time. But I think both
Yeah.
both work for me in terms of tesseracting. But yeah, it's time travel, but it's not, and if I don't really to kind of quote the play, I don't believe in ghosts, but dot dot dot. But
Yeah.
I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe that time and energy and people gets invested into spaces. So I think what you've written, if ghosts are real, this is the version that I believe in. That time, maybe time isn't linear, maybe it telescopes, and then
Well,
is
I'll quote the
now.
play because maybe it helps sell the play. The line is, "No, I don't believe in ghosts, but I believe in William Shakespeare, and he believes in ghosts." Because how much of your play is autobiographical, Austin? Well, aside from the fact that I wrote it, every play is autobiographical, and this play is very Shakespeare adjacent because it starts in the early 1600s. So there is a bit of an overlap. There's a mystery element to it because there's a long lost family Bible. I remember you described the play early on as a Bible and door slamming farce, which I love, but it's also inaccurate,
Right, yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, in my very first reading before I had lived with it the way I have now, I was like, this is perfect. And then yeah, no, that's not. Doesn't work.
It's also going back to the time element. It's like Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five, and so it goes. All or Dr. Manhattan. You're in The Watchmen. You're experiencing all the different time periods at the same time, and part of the fun of it is seeing how the echoes between the time periods and the contrasts. I think this is one of the reasons why I used to have that tagline on the title page of my play. A serious comedy about zealots, colonizers, murderers, adulterers, and worst of all, actors. Um, I took it off for some reason, and I can't really remember the reason, except maybe that I thought it seemed frivolous in a way that I didn't want people to prejudge the play just based on the title page. But so I'll be curious what listeners and viewers think. Do you like
Yeah,
that description? Does that
yeah.
draw you in? Does he make you, "Ugh, I don't want to have anything to do with that"? Because the other tagline we were using is another line from the play. What strange Puritan juju has kept this place standing for 400 years? Which is a line from the play and also one of the mysteries that we're trying to solve. And one of the other mysteries was, do I have to explain why this house is still standing for 400 years?
Or can
And
it just be magic?
or could it just be magic? Oh, or could I just go, get over yourself, Austin? It's a metaphor.
Yeah, we believe. Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of other plays. We just kind of inherit. It's the suspension of disbelief, right? Like we, I don't start to really tug. Like you don't go see the play that goes wrong and be like, is there not a stage manager here that's gonna like stop this for everybody's safety? Then you've ruined the play for yourself.
Yeah, that's funny. It really is a skill, a skill set. My nephew, Andrew Moorhead, got his MFA in dramatic writing from NYU, and I love that they call it dramatic writing because he writes plays, he writes screenplays, he writes teleplays. So he's not just in one market. The arts are trying to finally figure out, wait, we can't make a living in just one of these industries. We have to
Maybe
do
a
it in
career could be
many
different
industries.
things.
But as good as he is as a playwright, he's even better as a describer of his own work. And if you look for his plays on the New Play Exchange, newplayexchange.com, and look for the descriptions of his plays, they are really intriguing and very accurate, because then you read the play and go, yeah, this is the play I was promised, and so much more. It's a skill I wish I had.
Same.
But you direct a ton of plays. Are you constantly having to figure out ways to describe it to the general public? Because again, like me, you know why you like a play, but how will an audience? What will make an
Yeah,
audience want to come see the play?
we, to a degree, yes. Sometimes the lift is kind of easy. When we did your adaptation of Fool, that's such a known property. People love Christopher Moore's work. People love Pocket and Fool. So very easy to say, oh, well, you know the novel Fool, or at least you know Christopher Moore. Yeah, it's one of his novels put on stage, and it's King Lear. And
And it's written
90,
by the reduced Shakespeare Company guy.
right, and 90,
If you know
95%
him.
of the, yeah, 90, 95% of the people you talk to go, oh, I know some of, if not all of those things. I know exactly what. Also, the tagline that you found for that works so well. The hilarious true story of King Lear. That did almost all of the lifting for us. It's like there's the King Lear story you think you know and is kind of boring or too much. Now it's going to be funny. I directed a production of Tracy Lett's really wonderful play called The Minutes. And there's so much has been written about that because it was on Broadway because it's Tracy Letts, and so you can I let some of that inform what we were saying, but then one of the cast members was like, "Oh, this is Parks and Recreation," until it takes a left turn into Shirley Jackson's The Lottery, and I was like, "Rob, you're a genius," and that's what I'm telling people.
That's really good. Yeah. That's really intriguing. Well, and I like the idea that Puritans is a serious comedy because, of course, I think, and anybody who's listened to this podcast more than once knows that I believe that, comedy should be played as seriously as a heart attack and more seriously than almost any drama. Ken Ludwig, another playwright idol, says, I like to write a play, create worlds in plays in which comedy can happen. And that was my goal with Puritans, was to create a play in which the comedy can happen, despite the fact that we're dealing with generational trauma, historical legacy, colonization, redlining, all sorts of American issues that all American families have had to deal with, yet still, hopefully, fingers crossed, people are laughing while they're taking in all this information.
I completely agree with that. I think, in the same way that George Carlin is so funny, like he's not doing jokes about, like
Airline
aren't men
food.
and women different and airline food, but
Yeah.
he is talking about the very things that you're talking about, and he's doing it in such a smart, clever, sort of, I'm just going to present this to you as opposed to mocking it or punching down. Like, at no moment in this play do you read it and think, okay, so these characters, and then by transference, the author clearly thinks redlining is fine or has no problem with colonization. No, it's the characters even if characters in the past are perhaps a little flippant or dismissive with colonization or slavery or racism, etc. The characters looking at it in the present are able to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Not only is this idea bad, these people are bad, and maybe we don't rush to forgive it just because it's history, but then also saying maybe we also discuss this in a way that's valuable and helpful.
Well, and part of the challenge with this production of Puritans is, of course, this is the first production. You're the first one putting it on its feet, and the first theater that's having to figure out how do we sell this to our audience. Besides the fact, it's a world premiere. Does that have as much cachet as people think it does? I'm not sure that it does, but
yeah, I don't know.
But but that is part of the challenge for you guys. Have you guys done many premieres before?
No, we have not. This is the first world premiere. During the pandemic, when as we all know, the show must go online, we did 5 original plays that myself and a couple of other friends wrote during that time and put on. So yes, but with sort of an asterisk next to it.
Yes, right.
But never live, never in person. We've done Colorado premieres. We've done that, but this is the first time that we've
cool.
done it.
Well, and of course, you did the second production of Fool, which I was thrilled that you took on. But speaking of Fool, that tagline of Fool, the hilarious true story of King Lear, came about because one of my early readers asked me. We did a reading around a table with some great, amazing Chicago actors, and he said, "Why do you want to write this play?" And it's such a basic question, but I went, "Oh God, you're right. You're right. I don't know." And I had to think about it. I had to think about the reasons I like Chris's book, the value I think Chris's book has, and my own feelings about King Lear. And so all of that was expressed in just, well, it's the hilarious true story of King Lear. It's great backstory. It's the version of Lear I prefer to watch.
Having
I
done
prefer
both, I
comedies.
agree.
Huh? Yeah, I prefer tragedies over. I mean, I prefer comedies over tragedies. But I mean, I think it's a good lesson I should keep reminding myself about, which is maybe the part of describing the play is being honest with myself about why am I writing this play?
Mm.
And but my reasons for writing the play are different than people's reasons for wanting to go see it, and that's the challenge, is
What
finding
I,
that sweet spot.
that is really resonate. Hearing you say that resonates for me too, because what is attractive to me about the play as a director also is probably different from what attracts. This, but I really resonated with the sibling dynamic in it. The fact that you have two siblings that at sometimes don't have the easiest relationship, but still clearly are here for each other and clearly love each other. And I'm like, I relate to this so much. Not everybody does, and maybe not everybody cares about that. But like, how do I honor that for myself? But then also, like you said, that doesn't sound like a fun play to everybody. Not everyone's going to be like, come and watch August Osage County. Like, not everybody's going to want. I do, and not that this play is August Osage County, but just the
No, but
separating it.
that's funny you mentioned August Osage County, because I've never seen it. I've only read it, but I would read a play like Osage County and go, oh, well, I like seeing this generation of people, but I want to see the previous generations of this family running up and down these stairs,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
happening. I love seeing characters from different time periods occupying the same stage and not knowing that they're there.
Yeah, and I've to my knowledge, never read or seen a play that is exactly like this, and that's what makes it so exciting, but also, at least for me, deeply terrifying. Well, I don't want our production to be the reason that the playwright looks at it and goes, and maybe this should never ever be done again. Like,
I don't think that's going to happen.
no, neither do I. But when I first read it, because I was fortunate enough to have you share this with me at the same time you shared Fool with me. And I read Fool, and then I read this one, and with Puritans, I thought, this is so smart and so fun and still so funny, and I cannot wait to go and see this play, and God help anybody that directs this play. And then a year later,
Here we are. Yeah. Well, this is a bit of a fantastic, I was going to say conversation, Daniel, but also just an incredible process, a fantastic process of discovering how the play works, that it does kind of work. I can't wait to see the performances in September when I get back from Edinburgh. You mentioned the sibling elements of the play. It now makes me realize that we probably should have brought your brother Josiah into this conversation, because isn't he a marketing guy?
He is, yeah. He has an award winning. Him and his wife both have an award winning design company for both marketing and graphic design, and they did our poster. They did both the Fool poster and our poster for Puritans. So you'll see their work on the internet.
Well, then I'm only sorry I wasted my time talking to you.
Honestly, yeah.
This podcast is a production of the Reduced Shakespeare Company, reducing expectations since 1981. Go to reducedshakespeare.com for performance dates, actor bios, email newsletters, and so much less.